What's up, everyone? I am ZBest. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got another Christmas Box Premium Tank review video. This time it is the M-4-Y. So let's get into it. So the M-4-Y is a Tier 8 American Premium Heavy Tank. It is a one of those special Yo tanks, which means it has the reserve track mechanic, which I will talk about in just a little bit. My loadout that I used here was full bounty, vertical stabilizer, vents, rammer, and then vents directive to get the view range, along with BIA, recon, and situational awareness, because I had, I think, my 57 crew in this. So it does line up perfectly with the T57 if you have it. Yeah, so top speed, 45, pretty good. 18 power to weight, also pretty solid for a heavy tank. 360 alpha, 215 standard pen. And I think it's actually, 1 second. There we go. Yeah, 215 standard, and then or 220 standard, and then 250 premium. The shell velocity is 1200 on the premium and 1000 AP on the standard. Of course, I was firing the premium because even 250 can be a little bit low at times. I was not using any field mods for these games. Reload 8.51 seconds for 360 alpha, which is pretty solid. Even the aim time was pretty good. The 0.34 dispersion is also solid for a tier 8 heavy tank. And here is the view range that I was able to achieve with the vents and those crew skills. Hence, no use of optics because I was able to get over 445, which is my typical goal on premium tanks and even tier 9 is to just get over 445. That's enough in most instances, especially for heavy tanks, unless you really need the view range. So we can quickly jump over to 10 degrees of gun depression most of the way around and 1500 HP. So we'll jump over to the 3D model real quick. So this is the live armor model. The turret is fantastic, but only for the part of the turret that stays stationary. The rest of it, not so much. Also, right around the gun and right below the gun, 200 to 230 effective. It's actually a pretty reasonable pen in any tier 8 tank, and the cupola is just weak. Tier 6s, 7s, 8s, everything will go through the cupola. It's a big target. Hull armor, again, nothing special. Lower plate even weaker than the upper plate. It is well rounded, but nothing special. They can shoot through you through the drive wheel and not actually damage you. It is, and actually that happens both front and the back, but it does have the reserve track mechanic, like I said, which we will show that later in the video. Best place to play this is hull down. If you can hide the cupola, that is very helpful. One of the things I was doing, which I'll show in the game, is raising my gun, which does show this, which is a big weak spot, but most people were aiming for the cupola. Also, if you're playing a ridgeline, this helps you hide everything much faster, especially if you're like reversing down the ridgeline. But again, if you see anything over here, this is an easy pen. If you see one of these, and side and rear armor, nothing special, 76.2. You'll go through it. In the back, even some tanks with HE will go through. But that about wraps up the armor profile. Let's get into the gameplay. So this is, again, a Holiday Ops premium tank. So it is in the Christmas boxes that we are all so excited for. If you have not seen my Tornvon, my Bofors Tornvon Swedish premium heavy tank video, go check that out. It is the one of the other Christmas box premium tanks. Now, I was probably a little bit lazy here. I should have let this guy by earlier. But anyways, here we can see the decent mobility and get up to 40 pretty quickly. Here you can see me checking out the gun depression, checking out just how it looks. I know some people were complaining about how it looks. I don't actually mind it. It kind of just looks interesting. It's unique. Though again, the cupola is a big target and the gun area is also pretty weak. Some people were comparing it to the Renegade. I think that's a decent comparison, but it does have some benefits and drawbacks compared to the Renegade. One being the reserve track mechanic, and then the other benefit being the really strong frontal turret. Here you can see me raising the gun, trying to avoid cupola shots. I'm also trying to use my gun to block the cupola. I don't know where that shot went. I think I just aimed that badly. But anyways, the best place to play this is in a brawl. You want to bait shots by moving back and forth, moving your turret around, up, down, try to use your gun to block shots into the cupola. The hull armor is really bad, as we'll see a little bit later. It's mobile. It has a good gun with, albeit kind of mediocre premium penetration. 220 standard is decent if you're going to just fire standard. It is, I would say even at this point, starting to become below average. But the 250 APCR is pretty solid. Though the Tornvon, like, ridiculous penetration, as you'll see in the other video. I am trying to cupola snipe here. I do hit it. It's just one of those things that, if you're wondering why I reload so quickly here, I do have intuition on this crew. Highly recommend having intuition on everything if you can. But one of the things that you have to learn in any of these heavy tanks is when to push and when to fall back. I decided to fall back because pushing into 2mm1s is not a good plan whatsoever. I'm actually going to skip ahead just a little bit. Because of this thing's mobility, you are able to actually run away and then come back, re-engage, rotate around the map. It is definitely good for chasing down damage with the amount of rolls that happen nowadays. The armor is overall decent, so you can tank some shots. I mean, I have bounced like 1500 damage here, but a lot of that was from that IS-6. The 360 Alpha does feel quite comfortable at tier 8. I'm glad they have put a couple other heavies that have that alpha. I think it was 8-second reload is pretty good for kind of being able to trade when necessary, but then also being able to DPM people, pull back, get delit, poke back out again. So as we sit here and brawl, you can see where the lack of pen is hurting just a little bit. A couple other things. It's easier to find a green reticle on the Super Pershing. Though he does bounce off of me, so it's not that big a deal. Like with most tier 8s, tier 6s and 7s will have a lot of trouble with your armor. The tier 8s, though, if they are aiming at the right spots, this tank is, I would say it's a pretty easy pen. Though, if you do your best to hide your cupola, go haul down, wiggle, and not play super close range where they might actually miss your cupola even if they're aiming for it, you can actually bounce some good damage. Like here I have about 2,000 blocked, and then you can just keep brawling. So almost 3k damage here. It's a pretty typical amount of damage. Now, mind you, think about here, I make a really big mistake. But it doesn't ruin the game completely. And I mean, if this was another tank, maybe the mistake would have cost me more than it did. But, well, here's the mistake. Mind you, you should never drive into an autoloader where you can't back off, which is exactly what I just did. And I bounced my shot. So I just took a full clip, and yeah, so don't do that. I recall somewhere I bounced a tank destroyer shell. I think it was right here, actually. This thing's turret armor at range, yeah, right there, is really good, actually. Because the weak spots are kind of small at range, if someone's just aiming at your turret, they will bounce. I think it was, what, 300, 350 effective, depending on where you shoot. It is pretty flat, so heat rounds from tier 10s will go through, tank destroyer rounds will go through, but only if you are bottom tier. Here we get to see the mobility again. So while we wrap up this game just a little bit, I'll touch on the holiday ops just a little bit more. I always believe that the boxes are 100% worth it. They are not worth spending more than you have. They are not worth trying to get a specific tank. If you are trying to get a specific tank and keep buying, that makes them not worth it. But if you go in expecting more than your money is worth at any other time of the year, then you will get exactly what you expect. And you should have gold, premium time, credits, some new premiums, whether it be lower tier, higher tier. I think this year there's even a special mechanic to do with, I think if you hit level, or like if you open your 50th box without getting tier 8 premium, you automatically get one for your 50th, which I think is a really good mechanic. Here's the reserve track mechanic. See, I'm moving about half speed, but I'm not fully tracked. And you can see it is a much longer repair time, though I made the mistake of expecting my reload to be faster than it was. But that's pretty much sums it up. It's a pretty solid all-around tank. Good mobility, good gun depression, decent turret armor, well actually really good turret armor, but does have a cupola and a weak spot around the gun. Hull armor, nothing to really write home about. The gun is solid. Penetration is a tiny bit low, especially on the premium rounds. Shell velocity is okay. And yeah, I think this is another one of those that it's good, but it isn't worth like really trying to go after like some previous tanks have been. So quickly going over the post-game stats: 4,200 damage, almost 900 assists, 2 kills, pretty standard. 1330 base, and here. This is where it gets to the, I guess, more of the bad part. Ammunition is expensive if you're fighting premium rounds. And unfortunately, it's not that the premium rounds are exclusively better in this case. They are, because it's APCR. APCR is just really good. It has higher pen, better shell velocity. The only downside is the cost. So, like with the Tornvon, I keep mentioning it because personally I like the Tornvon more than the M-4-Y. Others don't agree, but I like having a turret that doesn't have a super blatant weak spot. Just allows me to go hull down better. This thing will not have a lot of HP left at the end of battle if you continue trading, because people will hit your cupola. It is just a fact of life. Also, like I said, the hull armor is nothing crazy special. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and if you want to see more of my content, feel free to subscribe. Again, I refer you to my Tornvon video, and keep looking out for more holiday ops related videos regarding other premium tanks, possibly, definitely boxes. I will go a little more in depth on some of the different mechanics for holiday ops and just explain what everything does. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys around.